Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bridges of Light, this evening's show. My name is Bridie Hughes, and I'm here to talk about various aspects of mediumship and psychic tools, really. When I always believe and trust that Spirit has a way of guiding us to where we're meant to be. And in doing that, you can think at times that you have a lot of control over what's happening. To some extent, yes. But what I'd say to you is just go with the flow. Allow Spirit to guide you where you're going to get the signposts to show you where to go and what is the proper path to go for you to learn your lesson of life. This evening was supposed to be a bit different, and that's why I'm saying that, because the plan was different up until about 2 hours ago, and needless to say, I was a bit panicky at the time and thought, what am I going to do? Because there was an alternative program in place to this, but Spirit took me to where I needed to be. And I'm so ever grateful to them, and to trust them far more is the lesson for me. This evening, we're going to talk a little bit about psychic implements that you can use to actually help you in your work. Some of which can be used solely as communication with the spirit world. And I'll show you as the evening goes on. One of the things I would like you to do is to write in questions that you have, because I can talk away, as I think at this stage you have well realised I can do a lot of talking. But the talking may be the topics that I actually want to talk about, and you may not relate to them. So what I'd say to you is, don't be afraid to ask a question. There is no such thing as a foolish question. Everything. Hello, Chazelle and John as well, and Rachel. Christine, how are you? All welcome back. When you start in development, it can be quite daunting at times. It can be quite daunting as to how you're going to be able to get into that mode to be able to communicate, either on a psychic level with someone or on a spirit level with the other world. There's no easy answer to that, but there are tools along the way that can help you and can actually be a way of taking you into the step of where you know that there's something different happening, that it's not just your imagination, because that's always what comes back when students are in development. That's my imagination. It couldn't be right, and it is the biggest challenge you will face in your development if that's the road you want to go. Hi, Leslie, you made it. Lovely to have you here. Generally what happens, people become aware of different things happening to them, like they may have a precognition of what is going to happen, and they're going about their daily business, and all of a sudden they find this has happened. I've seen this happening in their dreams or in a mesmer state, because people very often, when you're doing something that is mundane or that it's not ideal for when you're driving, but when you're doing something that you automatically do, it can take you into that other world, and everything is so real there. So when you go into psychic development, it's in that type of world that you go. So that you're actually seeing yourself in a different place, but outside of your own conscious body, but it's in a different reality. To work with that, to channel it, because it's to channel it you need to do. Hi Lee. It's to channel it you need to do, and channel it for different reasons. One is to be able to keep control of it, so that you're not taken over by different events, because it can be very stressful if you see something happening to someone that's not nice. That's whatever's happening is not nice for that person. Amy, hello, how are you? It means that it can absorb your energy. So when you learn to channel the energy, it means that when you're finished working in your development, you spend an hour and a half, whatever it may be, that you can actually close down that sensitivity in your energy. We often hear it said you close down the chakras. Well, the only time you close down your chakras is when you're passing over to the spirit world. You lower the sensitivity of your aura. You stop it absorbing everything that's going on around. So for that, what we say is just you desensitize. So before I continue, maybe for anyone that hasn't, but I feel most have been in development here way down the line, longer than myself indeed. But just to go over it, what you would do is you would take from the ground, you get your hands together, and like that, you would just point your hands down towards the ground. You don't need to bend down, but you just point your hands like that, like an open prayer position, and you just point down to the ground, and you draw up right through the central line of your body up to above the crown. And what you're doing there is you're actually taking down the energy to a point where the sensitivity is not all out around a room or around a place, wherever you are. It's the easiest way of doing it. Another one is to visualize yourself in a bubble of light, and that is your protection. That will seal your energy and stop it being sensitive to everything that's happening around, because we don't need to go into other people's sensitivity. So that's just at that level. Anyway, you know me, I'm straying away from the point. But what we need to do is work on that level of getting to know energy in ourselves and in our clients, whoever we're working with. And what you can do, there are so many different things. We have Lee on board here, and Lee would be able to explain an awful lot more than I can about dowsing. You can use pendulums, and I'm holding it up off the view of the camera. Pendulums can be any article that can go off a string, a chain, and it's something that is very, very effective. I just need to close that phone off. The pendulum will actually work with your energy, interact with your energy and the energy of wherever you are or the question you're asking about. It will energize at a level that is able to work on, I'm just going to take up another, able to get answers from it. It has been used for thousands and thousands of years. There is no, I think, real foundation of the history of when it started to be used, because people used it many years ago because it was their only means of actually being aware of finding water, number one, and we work with another tool in that aspect, but people would actually use the pendulum to be able thanks John, people would actually be able to dowse for water with the pendulum. Now you can get the very sophisticated pendulums. I have a number of them here. They're the real bee's knees. That's a nice one there, that's the chakras. And here's one that my friend Lee, that's with us here this evening, bought me one day, a while ago. So it is, there's all of those items that can be used. But before I move on further, I'll show you another item that can be used. This is a decoration from Christmas tree. And it just has the same effect as you would have from the pendulum. And just it's about your energy. It's about your psychic energy. So just trust that psychic. Hello, Zara. You're welcome back. It's about your psychic energy being used. So don't be afraid of picking up any item that you can suspend from your hand. And actually, I've seen it being done, a human pendulum. And I think Chazelle might have been around when we did that exercise many moons ago, where you can actually, your body can be used as a pendulum. It'll give you, if you're looking for an answer from a pendulum, you ask it for a yes or a no. Hi, Lynn. You're asking it to give you an answer of yes or no. The yes will have one way of working. For me, it's straightforward swing that the pendulum will have, and for a no, it's the opposite way. You can ask anything, but whatever question you ask, it has to have just a very direct question. Nothing ambiguous about it. It has to be a straightforward question that has a yes or no. But it's like saying, will I go to America? If I do, that's two questions. So one question will be, will I go to America? And if you get the answer of yes, will I do whatever? So it's using the straightforward communication, and that's what's important. Now the other, staying on this line, we have the rods, the dowsing rods, and the dowsing rods, these are actually two different sets, but it works well for me because I have this one where it's independent, gives the answer, and this one stays still for me. This is my way of working, because you'll find if you go down that route, you will find the right formula for you. And once it's consistent, it tells you it is the right formula. With this, now I'm not sure if all the messages are coming up on your screen as they are coming up with me. I know in the replay, you don't see the messages on the lower half of the screen. I have half the screen with messages, so I'm not too sure what you can see beyond. But someone said to me, no, there's no messages up on, if you can let me know. But this one here I hold in, I just want to make sure it's in focus for you. This is the one here that I use as my steady one, and this is the one that actually works to tell me the answer. So I'm going to ask it to show me a yes, and you see how it'll swing over. And now I'm going to ask it to show me a no. So that is the way I would work with the pendulums. Hello, Joanna. That's the way I would work with the rods, the dowsing rods. they can be used just as easily as the pendulum can be used for personal use, because some people doesn't like actually the pendulum. When you're working with them, all you need to do is to clear your mind of giving the pendulum an answer. What you want to do is you want the pendulum to give you the answer. You want to be aware of what it is that is coming from your higher self through you into the rods or the pendulums. Years ago, people used the pendulums over pregnant women's tummies to see whether it's a boy or a girl. But I would be very cautious on doing that, because a friend of mine used to do it, and she did it on a lady one day, and there was no response from the pendulum, and it turned out that the baby had passed away. So I would guard against doing that. It was a very old way of working to find out if it was a boy or a girl. A bit of entertainment more than anything else, but it wasn't exactly what she expected, so she never did it again. The other thing about when dowsing for years ago, and this is a little bit away from this, but I found it very interesting. When the people years ago, when there was no technology that we have today, and they were going to build a house, they would go out to the land where they were going to build, and they would put stones in a pyramid fashion on the ground. And above that, they would put 3 sticks in the pyramid fashion above that. And then they would have a copper wire. The top of the sticks would have been tied together with a copper wire. And some of that copper wire would hang down towards the stones. Hi, Deborah. And Helga, how are you? What you would find, what the outcome of that would be, if the stones moved, that was the stones were in the pyramid fashion, if they moved, people wouldn't build on that site, because they would say that it was a fairy site that was to be left alone for the fairies. Probably they had, it was a way of knowing that it wasn't going to be a good site for a house, that they would have the geopathic stress would be happening in that area, hence the magnetism would actually move the stones. So if we go back to olden times, we will find out an awful lot of answers. That's Mother Nature and all. Hello, Lydia. How are you? An awful lot of people would have worked with it and got the answers that was important. So it's not a matter of us needing all technology. Thanks, Deborah. Lovely to see you here. Well, we'll move on a bit. Is there any questions before I move on from the dowsing and divining? Anyone have any questions before I move on from that? Because as I said, I can talk. We have a saying here in Ireland, I could talk till the cows have come home. And it is... no, there's no questions coming up. That's okay. We move on to another. I think I'll leave that one for a minute. This I've tried a few times, but I haven't been very successful with it. But I have a friend who was very successful. And it's the I Ching. People, it's done with these sticks. These are bamboo shoots. It's done with them, and if anyone can do it, and I think it's not as daunting in the sense of someone working with energy and they're half afraid of it. I think it's a good introduction, because that was the introduction that my friend actually worked and went and did a lot of work later on, and it's an excellent medium today. You divide them into 3 lots. Now, as I say, I haven't the patience, I suppose, that's being truthful about it. But it's the I Ching, and if as it kind of indicates, an old Chinese way of working. Hi, Esther. It's worth trying out, because something that's not doesn't seem as, and I say seem because there's none of it invasive, but it actually is easier to go in a route that you don't feel is that you're put at any risk. Put it that way. It takes time. It's not a fast route, but I know I was with my friend one of the first times we used it, and I was with her, and it flowed very, very easily. So you see and you don't have to have those sticks. It's just anything that would resemble that would be good. Thanks, Esther. Esther knew I was in a panic beforehand with the way things have changed. So thank you, Esther, for dropping in. Hi, Giovanna. Now, one of these things, here's a contraption. And I wonder, have you ever seen it? It's a little board that's on wheels. And at one end, there's a pencil. And this is called a planchette. This would go back in Victorian times. It was one of the ways of using, doing the psychic. Also, you can do mediumistic work with it, because it is, I'll just move these out of the way. It's something that, what happens is the pencil is put into the board, and there's a screw there just to tighten it. You would have probably 3 people is enough on that size of board. And what you would have is the people on it, and this will actually write itself. You're working through the light of spirit, and it will start to write. It's called automatic writing, and that you need the likes of a roll of wallpaper is the ideal, to use the back of the wallpaper. Okay, John. Yeah, John is saying, yeah. Some people ask the question and feel the answer in their body. For example, the tilt forward and for yes. I don't know whether I can get more on that. No, I can't get the rest of that, John. Yeah, they would feel, that's what, they become the human pendulum. And that's how some people, and I think Lee, that is here with us, she would use her hands, she uses the fingers, and she's able to get the answers yes or no on via the fingers, and how she would, we hope in the weeks to come that we'll have Lee, and she will demonstrate for us. That's down the line, it's just not at the moment. But yeah, it's because we're so magnetic in our body, that we actually can flow very, very easily into that energy field once we trust. The trusting is the part where you just let go of the thought force and not be worrying about what the answer is going to be. Just let it be. I've seen situations where someone asked me a question and wanted me to do. I didn't know the question because I asked specifically not to be told, because I just wanted to go in and there's a name for it where it's like surrogate. There's another name on it where you can answer the question for someone else. My way of it would be I'd touch the person on the shoulder and ask the pendulum to show me the answer. And the answer that was given was no. And that didn't go down too well at the time, because they were set on doing their plan. But as time went on, the plan, Spirit World had their plan, and it changed her life around. That she didn't go down the road that she actually wanted to. But what you would do with the planchette, to come back to that, if you have 3 people just placing their fingers on the board, it will start to move around. And what will look like a scribble at first, as time goes on, it will start to show words within that writing. So that's why I'm saying it becomes a channel for the spirit world. It's just not you can use it's a psychic tool as such, but it can cross that line to go into be a channel for the spirit world to use. So it's not John, if you come back to me on the question, because I can't get into the rest of it. Just to because it stopped at hello Mary, how are you? It's something that it's very interesting watching the planchette working, because it takes its time. You probably would be through a whole roll of the wallpaper, use the back of it, something that's even, and put it on an even surface, and allow it to go its way. And I've seen beautiful messages coming from it, and that's what it's about, is actually creating that lovely space for the spirit world to communicate with. Another way of assisting the spirit world now, and this is something I've been, I suppose, toying around with more than anything else, because I haven't got into the energy fully. But it's a psychic art where you sit and you're actually clearing your mind. And Deborah that's here, Deborah's brilliant at doing this. You get the picture in your mind of the person in spirit, and you start working. You just allow the colours or whatever you're working. Let it be pencil, let it be pastels. You allow them to just go, because they do their own. It does their own thing. We did some of it, Joanna, and it's lovely. There's several different ways of doing psychic art. One is to draw the image of someone that may be connected to the person, the sitter, maybe connected to maybe the person that's communicating. This is why I haven't gone into it to work with it fully, because I just need to be in the energy of that person to be able to get the full image and personality and that across. But it is lovely. It's like going back to play, because you can have a lovely time having that experience and relaxing with it. The other thing that I said I'd do tonight, and I haven't worked this way before, so it's an experiment. All mediumship is an experiment, because we can never guarantee that someone is going to come through. The person that we want to come through is going to come through. We actually say at all times that it is an experiment. So what I'm going to do this evening is work, because usually I have voice interaction, yes or no, or another thing about communicating with the spirit world, you don't feed the medium. You don't start into telling the life story, which is actually in this format is quite good, because we don't you don't have that voice interaction. Whereas if you're doing a demonstration, a public demonstration, the recipient very often starts telling the medium things, and that's the role of the medium to tell the sitter, not the other way around. So it's yes or no or don't know. That's the answers that can be relayed in this. But you do have to say, you do have to write something. So you're not going to get sitting doing nothing. All right. Okay. Get these out of the way. There's a lady that is coming through, and the lady had Alzheimer's before she passed away. The Alzheimer's was early enough onset. I feel that she was only in her 70s when she got the Alzheimer's. She was a real motherly lady, someone who was centre of the family, would be the matriarchal figure of the family. Quite quiet spoken. Wouldn't generally have a loud voice unless she was aggravated. I feel with this lady, I feel it was the pneumonia or right. I feel it was pneumonia that she passed away from. She's given me that she had a long history of chest conditions. I feel with her that she would have had, she's talking about 5 in the family, so she was either one of 5 or 5 in the family is significant. Is there anyone there that can understand this lady? Because I feel she's a grandma. So you need to write yes or no in the window. Hi Linda, you're welcome. I feel with her that she was a lady that did a lot of hard tracking work, because she wasn't afraid of rolling up her sleeves and getting into the thick of things, because I feel where she was, I feel it was a country situation. I feel, Bianca, you can understand Bianca. I love when Bianca gets info, because she puts her heart and soul into working with me here. Okay. I feel too, is 5 significant? Hello, Sinead. She's talking about 5. She was pretty 80. Okay. I felt she would be what? Okay, just on that. When you the chest condition. She must have had, if I'm with you, she must have had a lengthy problem with the chest, like either asthma or bronchitis, something of that nature. Because what she's showing me is that she actually had difficulty breathing at times, and she'd just sit down when she'd have the problems. I feel too with her that she shows me Right, okay, that would make sense. Yeah, because it just, I wouldn't stay with you if I couldn't put the details together. She loved her hair, and her hair was, she found it very difficult as years went on because she wasn't actually able to do her hair as she wanted to. She had plenty of help, but she was very much a lady who would have liked her hair in place, and she just said it wouldn't sit nicely for me towards the end. She also talks about having arthritis in her hands, because I feel her hands sore, and I feel she would have had situations where she found difficult to grasp things. There's the month of January significant around her. I feel with that month, I feel that she experienced a passing in the month of January, because she's given me the sense of, I have no energy. No, I could feel her. I could feel her hair. It was important because she just literally wanted to put my hands up around my head. I feel with her, she had the 12th of January. Yeah, there's that feeling of just wanting to go, but there's also another passing in January that she had to grieve through. I feel, because as I'm even going back there, she's given me that feeling of loss. And I feel she was quite happy to go to the spirit world. She had no resistance. I know she had Alzheimer's, but she was quite happy even before the onset. She was religious. She liked to have everything. She loved her time in prayer. She loved her time. There's also, she's talking about her prayer book. Okay. Yeah, that would probably make sense, because I would really want, it was a life-changing, that's really what I'm getting, is that she lost her oomph in her life. Yeah, and there's a prayer book. There's a prayer book that has to be handed down, and still is here, as you know, is well used. It has even tears in it, but I feel that prayer book is held in as a treasure. Giselle, okay. Yeah, I just feel too that there's a lot happening within the family, and with okay, that's lovely. There's a lot happening at the moment within the family, and within that, she's talking about, there was a prayer in the prayer book that was her mainstay of energy and focus, and that she's asking that prayer, okay, she's asking that particular prayer be used at the moment for bringing about harmony, and the things would level out again. There's a lovely green around her, because she actually would have had a lovely energy of healing, and I feel with that, as I'm working with her, people would come to her and feel very, hi Helena, I feel that with that healing, she's passing it on from the spirit world, but I feel when she was here, she was equally that person to go and talk to, and people would feel a lot better after confiding in her, because they knew that she was able to hold whatever it was for them. All right. I'll leave you with her love and with the joy that she's expressing in you. But she's on about you also doing, going into books, going into training at some level. because she has books out, and she's a pile of books sitting out here for you. So you're not getting away from study. There's a change there, and that's going to be within this year, before the end of the year. Okay, thank you, Bianca, for working with me. All right, we'll do one more because we want to put in. You're fine, Helena. It's just when the time is right, I always feel that's Helena, just in case. You're welcome, Bianca. You are where you're meant to be, and that's the motto I live my life by. Because it's something that if you resist, or if you're somewhere against, lovely Ashley, that's lovely, 3 feathers in the shop. If you resist what is the right place for you, you end up getting very confused. And as we talked last week about, or the last show about numerology, which I still have to get back to some on, and they'll know who they are. When you go against the flow, you find that you don't feel right. Something in you is telling you you're not in the right place, or you're not in the right space in your mind. So that's what it's about. Okay, let's see what. Okay, it's a gentleman that's coming in now. Good, strong voice. This gentleman. I want to be. I want to feel as if I'm working outdoors. Very much hands-on man. Hands very, very weathered between weather and hard work. I feel he worked with metal. I can feel the coldness of the metal. I feel that I can hear the noise. So he worked somewhere where there was a lot of noise and a lot of that kind of, the easiest way I have it is clanging noise. I feel with him that he had a heart condition, a long standing heart condition, and that heart condition gradually he deteriorated from being the strong man that he was to be the man that he was before he passed over. I feel too the month of October is significant with this man, and I also want to be talking about family gathered round him, because there's something there. I'll wait and see if we can get a recipient for it. He wants to be. He has a. He's shown me in dress with a waistcoat that for him a waistcoat was very important. I want to be in well dressed, that he could go from being the man with the overalls and with the working clothes to go to the man who would go out with suit on, and he's proud of this waistcoat that he would wear. Okay. Oh, you're joking, Bianca. October in his wife's birthday. Okay. I don't know Bianca, by the way, apart from her doing the AdSense. Okay. In October, he was a tall, handsome man with heart problems. Right. Let me work. They're going to make me work. Waistcoats with the braces. Don't give me too much information now. Okay. With this man, he would have been in hospital, unrelated to a heart condition. I feel the stomach was actually something that was giving him a lot of trouble over the years, because I feel he would have been a gentleman who was his diet had to change because of his stomach condition. John, I just work with who comes in. I'm sorry, John, if you can understand, but I just work with who's coming in. With, excuse me, I feel with this man, he smoked as well. And I go back and I feel he smoked a pipe too back in earlier years, but he transferred into cigarettes then later on. And as time went on, he gave them up because he had to. There's someone has tools of his still in place, won't throw them out because they're treated as being precious. I feel too with him, he's talking about a journey, that a journey being important. I just want to go to the other in the spirit. Go ahead. Giselle, you understand the heart condition. Can you understand the age group? Now I'm just going with what he's passing on to me at the minute. I just want to work. It was a big smoke. You would understand. I wanted to get this. This is the difficulty when it is a writing. You know, when you're talking to someone, if you're done in normal circumstances, you're talking to someone. No, the stomach problems are not yours. I know your stomach problems. You're due your baby in a few weeks. No, I don't feel that. It's the stomach. This gentleman would have had a stomach condition back the years, and as I said, as a result, his diet was always having to be minded. He was minded really well by his partner, because there was no way anyone was going to get given him things that he wanted, despite him trying to sneak. All right. I feel you would understand 3 being significant in a family, Bianca. Lungs, not heart. I feel it was heart. I'm not going to change. I'm still coming back to Bianca, because I feel there's a reason probably the two of them came in together. There's 3 significant of 3 in the family. Either he's one of 3, or there's 3 children. I used to give facts. I ask about if his stomach. You can ask, all right, but it's significant at the minute. 3 children, Bianca. 3. Either he's one of 3, or there's 3 children. Okay. Yeah, I do feel I'm with Bianca, because I feel there's a connection between your grandma and him coming in at the minute, because going back in time, you would feel that it was your grandma who would actually stand out and say, right, this is what you're going to do. Yeah. I feel I'm not getting the feeling, Helena or Giselle, I'm not getting the feeling there, because the feeling is connection with the spirit world. All right, I'm sorry at the moment, but you never know what's going to happen in the time to come. I feel there has to be that attitude with this gentleman, that he would rely 100% on his partner. Yeah, I can. Yeah. But I feel there was that she looked after him. That she looked after him really well, like, to the extent of nearly treating him as a child. He's actually talking about a ring that he gave your grandma, and that ring needs to be sorted, because there's some situation about that ring that a situation about that ring that needs to go to the right place, and that's, you know, that's where he's coming from at the minute, because they wouldn't have had that much, but what they had, they treasured. I feel too that there was flowers was important, and he loved looking at them, not necessarily working with them, but he would be very much into the colours of flowers. And okay, it's just that needs to be sorted about the ring. Okay, okay, I'm getting that again about you being getting the books out. Don't blame me, blame your grandparents. They used to look at education as never being a burden to carry, and because in their era, especially women didn't necessarily go for education. So now he's saying you have opportunities, and this is what you need to. I could see him like that, because he actually was. He would go around and touch them, and he enjoyed the smell. He enjoyed the colours. So it was very much. I think you look after them. You do the hard work of it, but not the kind of. He wouldn't be out there trimming the weeds down all the time. Okay, I'll leave you with his love, Bianca, because you're definitely being told tonight that you just need to start working. I'll leave you with their love. I think I gave you October already, didn't I? I did, yeah. He's come back with that, and he's come. There's also an event in June that he's talking about. Okay, I'll leave you with his love, and the love of both your grandparents. Thank you, and thank everyone. I thank everyone for speaking up about. There's something when hello Beverly. There's something about when you link with spirit, you can have several people coming in, and there's something as the link goes on, you find that you know where it's going, because it begins to get more linked with the sitter. It often happens that there's a number of people that can take the information, and then it goes on to get something in particular to pin it to the one person. But that energy goes, and I didn't know whether it was going to work that way for me, because, as I say, it's no problem standing in front of an audience, and getting a connection for someone in the audience, and saying, this is, I have your granddad, or I have your mum, or whatever. It's very different. Hi, Paul. It's very different when it's actually written back, because it creates a very different type of energy. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's we always learn. We never ever get to the point where we've arrived. We never arrive at anything. We're all the time on a journey. One of the things of doing readings is that people have expectations, and those expectations can sometimes be your biggest holdback, because you just need to accept whoever it is that is going to come in. Whoever's the first, there's a short reading on these cards. These are my own cards, And whoever's first up on the screen to say me, to write me, I'll just give a brief, I've only a couple of minutes, but 2 minutes. Whoever's first up on the screen. Joanna. All right, I'm just going to pick a card. And I'm just going to pick a card here. There's 2 ones to come out. One is trust and the other is patience. Patience, accept delays. The reasons may be to show you different options. And the trust reads, children find everything in nothing. Trust your inner child. Joanna, yes, I can understand that coming from, I'm sorry, it's already, we're running out of time now at this stage. But Joanna was first in. Bite the bullet. Don't be holding back, because there is more change coming for you. Don't be afraid to take that step. It's like you're being held back and you want to be in a situation where you see action happening. It's happening in front of your eyes, but you're not seeing it. So maybe it's time to stand back and see what the story is going on around you, and I'll be in touch with you anyway at some stage in the next week. Just go for it, because I don't feel it's so much trust with you. I feel it's more that confidence in yourself, first of all. And that's where I feel that's the whole back is. So just stand back at the minute and start looking and seeing where it is you can take on the role of the presence of you. Because we forget that our spirit is the most important aspect of us. Mind tells us all different things. Okay, I need to tie up the evening. It was lovely having you all joining me this evening. We have lovely speakers online in time to come, and I have a few lined up, and I'm really looking forward and very excited about having them joining us. So I hope to see you back here in 2 weeks' time, and have a lovely weekend. And of course, my grateful thanks to Bianca for having the patience for translating. And do tune in to, we had an Irish shaman on Thursday evening. Tune in and see different things are happening in the English. So it's going to gradually grow as time goes on. Again, thanking you, and have a lovely weekend.